Okay. So, unfortunately, we're not able to view bans in this game mode because spectator mode is broken. Blue team picks. They have a Hecarim jungle, an Akali mid, a Varus AD carry, a Darius top, and a Leona support. So I like the amount of AoE CC they're going to have from Leona, Varus, and then Hecarim alting through those people. It's a little odd to me, the Akali pick. It doesn't seem to go with the rest of their team. But that being said, if Akali gets ahead, she can be a true monster in team fights where she just like jumps in and out of her shroud, picks up massive amounts of kills, and has crazy sustain. But it just seems it doesn't really fit with the rest of their team comp.
The thing is, it's a apprehend off, and then they have lockdown with a Varus ult, Leona R. So if they can get the right engage off, Akali should be able to just dance around on the squishies. But on the other hand, Purple Team has a strong front line, so it's all about positioning and managing to get the exact right fight off, I think.
Okay, so apparently the bans were Renekton, LeBlanc, and Kassadin on the blue team, and then purple team banned out Vi, Yasuo, and Thresh. I'm fine with those bans. The Renekton ban seems a little weird. Like, he's a strong top laner, but there's just so many strong junglers and mid laners right now that usually you expect to see bans thrown in that direction, or even supports, because we have seen Leonas and stuff dominating a lot of these workshops. So then, flipping over to the other team comp, they have a Shen top lane, a Vayne AD carry paired with a Nami support. They then have a mid lane Annie, which is not something we see that often anymore, and it is good. It's just usually you expect to see Annie as a support these days. Then, of course, they have the Trundle, which appears to be a jungle, which is kind of an odd choice to me. Trundle wants a lot of farm, and he wants to take towers. His ganks are okay, but nothing that great. And it's not like he's a hyper-scaling teamfight champion. He's more of a split-push bully and just like steals a bunch of free stats and just poops on you. And like it's a fine pick for jungle, but with there being so many potent junglers right now between like Vi, Pantheon, Elise, Lee Sin, Wukong, there's just so many strong junglers right now. It weirds me out that you would decide to pick Trundle. It's not a bad thing though. My concern though is, are they going to be able to keep this Vayne alive? Vayne is going to be versus a Varus Leona. Varus Leona actually has a hell of a lot of burst, if they set it up properly. Varus, he needs to be able to get some stacks onto you with his Blight, and he's going to be able to do that during the Leona CC. And then he can just detonate that for percentage health damage. So, right. I don't know. I don't see Vayne being able to survive this lane unless she plays absolutely phenomenally well. And then that's going to come back and bite them, because late game, they have some good lockdown. Like if Shen lands a taunt followed by an Annie ult, Nami ult, bubble, all that stuff, they have great lockdown. But what happens if one person gets out of that? Let's say they don't hit Akali and she's fed. I think that Vayne's just going to die.
I'm a little concerned about Purple's team ability to reliably initiate a fight. I think their best initiation is Tibbers Bomb. And when it's any mid, being on the front lines and dropping an initiation isn't always the best move. You have Nami bubbles, but that's tricky to land. They have a very long cast time. And you have Trundle Pillar and Shen Taunt, but these are all very short range, sort of iffy initiates. So I'm a little worried that Purple Team's going to be unable to get on the targets they want when they want. So I think it looks like Blue Team has the proper setup to actually make plays, pick the fights they want, and Purple Team's going to be forced into reacting.
Yeah, I would like to point out that Nami has gone for Exhaust, and that's going to serve them really well if Akali gets ahead. Because if you look at their team, the only targeted CC they have is Annie. Everything else is a skill shot or has a long cast time, like Nami Bubble. No good Akali is going to get hit by a Nami Bubble unless it's very, very well used. So having that exhaust there is very good at countering hard engages and snowball-y type champions. I've been asked a lot, seeing as I have been playing a lot of support recently, and people wonder, like, you're always playing Karma support, but sometimes you take Ignite, sometimes you take Exhaust, and what's the difference? And for me, I take Exhaust when there's a champion on the enemy team who, if they get ahead, is going to be hard to shut down, and I'm not going to be able to CC them another way. So, like, Riven, Kha'Zix, a Kali, champions like that, where if they make it into your team and land a combo, they just like essentially snowball from there. They get resets, combo onto the next person. Those are situations where I really, really like taking exhaust. It is very you have to sort of play it by ear, and depends on your team comp and the enemy team comp. But it can be a very, very powerful thing to have. So I like that choice from her.
Regarding the Renekton pick, I just wanted to talk about the possible reasoning behind that. Um, Riot has said Renekton is the gatekeeper of top lane, and that's not an intentional role. But eventually, the purpose he serves is you must be this tall or this tanky to enter top lane. If Darius is a top laner and he's banning out Renekton, I suspect that he is planning on being a squishier sort of attack damage build as opposed to going full tank and just surviving in the middle of team dunking on people with his ult. And a Renekton ban would be a calculated choice to survive.
Hmm. Yeah, I'm also interested the Hecarim pickup. We don't see much Hecarim anymore, and a lot of it just boils down to, again, there's so many flavor of the month junglers right now. But I like Hecarim. I would like to see him played a little bit more. I have the same opinion about Nautilus, and there is some Nautilus changes on the PBE that I think if they go through are going to make him a solid, maybe a niche pick, but still a very strong pick when it works. And so I'm really looking forward to that. I haven't seen that much love coming out for Hecarim yet, though, and he is one beastly horsey, so I would like to see him played a little bit more.
At the end of Season 3, Hecarim was on pick ban status because teams just would rather have the pony in the stable than have it on the enemy team. And he got love tapped, I believe. I don't believe he was substantially nerfed, but he got a couple of love taps from Riot. And then Vi entered the scene with just complete single target lockdown, and the meta shifted. Hecarim is still a completely valid choice, but I can see why people are making other selections right now.
Well, the problem there, though, is that they have, as you said, it's love taps, but there was like 6 patches in a row where he got love tapped, and they just add up over time. Now, interesting choice. Both bot laners have gone for support item starts, which is becoming more and more standard. I personally don't generally take a ward because I find only having one potion does not give me a way to come back in a lane. Like, let's say Leona lands an early engage. I might still be able to poke her, but I'm too low to reliably do so. So having those extra potions is often really valuable. I also don't like the really early use of the Explorer ward. Ooh, the Trundle invade coming in here. Blue team has actually warded this, and that's a fantastic choice. I like that.
Trundle wards it. It looks like he's waiting for he's waiting for Hecarim to come in and clean up, but blue team knows he's there. Akali's coming down from mid lane, Hecarim is coming down. If bot lane collapses, Trundle will be in the middle of a 4-man pinch with no way out. But blue team is not responding. They're getting some last hits, they're trading, and that's giving Trundle an opportunity to escape right now.
For sure. And so Leona is showing up now. The Hecarim flash way too early. I don't like that. Leona decides to flash over, lands the exhaust, lands the quick stun, and they get the Trundle flash. I don't think they're going to get this Annie, though. That's a lot of summoner spells used for not that much of an advantage. Unfortunately, Leona was not able to hit level 2 before she roamed, so she had to waste flash to land the stun. She also wasted exhaust. So that puts them in a little bit of an issue bot lane, having no summoners. Now, Varus does have some slight experience advantage, but since the new season, they did change it, so solo lane experience isn't that much higher than it was being in a duo lane.
Vayne tumbles forward to get some harassment on a bubble to Varus. Leona moves to protect her carry. Just a quick note from the skirmish we saw that headed up into mid lane. Annie had a stun up, but she moved in uncomfortably close to the enemy team. In the end, she made it out okay, but when you have a stun, sometimes your spells are all you need to zone and not your actual physical presence.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I would have liked to see a little bit smoother collapse from, well, both teams, really. Blue team could have collapsed a lot easier and been able to pick that up. I don't like the quick uses of those flashes. Like, Hecarim wasn't going to die in the next half second, so why flash? Good stun coming in here from Leona, but she's going to take a lot of damage in return. I think she's going to be safe. Oh. Varus pulls out the barrier. Flash comes out from them, and that is a dead Varus. Leona does end up picking up the kill with her W, her Eclipse, but not able to turn around and finish off Nami.
I do like Nami as a pick into a Leona lane. Janna is the Leona hard counter because her tornado in her Q can interrupt a mid E Leona. But Nami also has fantastic disengage, and that E on Bane is really going to hurt once Bane gets her BF sword item or her Bork.
For sure, yes. Yeah, we usually expect to see Blade of the Ruin King rush on her, but I have seen some start to move back towards like a more standard AD carry build, and it's really personal preference and boils down to how safe you are actually engaging in these fights.
Darius is just, he keeps shoving up top, and I'm sure that's partly because of Q harass, but he also keeps getting away. Trundle does not have a strong enough lockdown. Here comes Hecarim, dropping onto Shen. Shen is just going to walk away. But yeah, Darius is pushing up, and he doesn't particularly care about Trundle ganks. He's just walking away and coming away relatively unscathed.
I like the pickup of teleport there because he's going to have some good mid-game harass, and he's going to be able to follow when Shen teleports. But it is going to make his kill potential much, much lower in lane. Yeah, this is exactly what we mentioned with Trundle, where his ganks are not that good. He just kind of wants to farm. And he's not doing that right now. He's playing aggressively. He's trying to counter jungle. He's trying to set up kills. He's trying to gank. And I think he'd be a lot better off just farming. They do get the Nami flash. I think this is a dead fish.
Amazing condemn from Vayne, saving her support. Nami returns the favor with a heal and starts to go back, but Vayne is continuing to farm. Vayne is we see a lot of Vaynes in these workshops who know their champion in and out. We barely see first-time Vaynes here. And so the Vaynes tend to have surprisingly good mechanics.
That was a very nice condemn. It was debatable, the decision to chase there from Leona, because her Q was a few seconds off. She had no flash, and her exhaust, I believe, was around 8-second cooldown. I like it from a sort of zoning... Oh, I don't know why Nami face-checked that. In the meantime, though, Vayne does go very aggressive and is going to most likely get this kill. Probably not going to get the double, though.
Leona went to protect her carry. That was an admirable instinct, but she could have turned around, hit Nami with an auto attack and a Q, and that would have been one dead fish. And Varus, I don't believe she could have intervened to save Varus with 2 stacks of silver bolts and an angry Vayne in his face.
Yeah, for sure. I like the decision to go onto the Nami when she face-checked, but at that point, you're setting yourself up for an easy condemn. You don't want to stand near walls. Akali is roaming down. There is a ward in here. Shen ult comes down. And
this Nami is tempting fate. This is some Final Destination stuff going on. Yet she manages to continually escape. Shen taunting Akali down. Purple team just escaping. Annie is wrapping around with Tibbers up, I believe. And she's moving into position. Drops the Q on Hecarim and cleans up with the Tibbers.
Sorry, I was taking a quick look at the other fight going on the map. So I'm just going to rewind this and see what set up the Annie play here. She does have flash, but instead of rushing it, she uses the Q stun, so she's guaranteed to land it. Personally, I would have preferred she used the Tibbers stun because there was no flash on the enemy team, and then could have possibly picked up the kill onto Akali, as she did have Ignite up.
I'm going to point something out about Shen's itemization. Shen is currently even with Darius in CS. He's building straight armor, and I understand why he's doing that. He's saying Darius is a big dude with an axe. Armor would be the best way to defend against him. Darius, his bleed is magic damage, his basic attacks and abilities are physical damage, and his ult is true damage, which means rushing armor is actually not a great idea. Just because he has so much mixed damage, you won't actually block much, and you have no offensive capabilities in return.
I'd like to see a Sunfire be first item picked up here by Shen, and I think that's what he's going to end up doing. He just wanted the early armor for it. The Ninja Tabi is definitely going to help him a lot, though. And the sustain that he's going to get in this lane should make him be able to bully Darius around, because Darius is a mana user. He's at this point. So this is going to leave Shen to free farm top lane for a bit, catch up in any gold or experience he might have lost when he tried to gank. But at this point, like, he is ahead in CS, and going even in lane on a Shen means you're winning. So he's doing a really good job here.
It's just an interesting note about Darius's
oh yes,
damage.
Yeah, you definitely want early health. It's possible, though, that when he went back, he didn't have enough for the Giant's Belt, so he opted to go Chain Vest instead.
This Trundle is just not having very much impact on the game, unfortunately. I mean, he's making an effort, he's showing his face, but his ganks are just, he's not getting much done. I mean, that pillar was quite good on bot, but in the long run, I think I would rather see him in the jungle, focusing on becoming fat and tanky.
Very nice condemn. We are seeing some really good condemns coming out of this vein.
I'm not sure what it is with Vayne players in this workshop. They always know Vayne pretty much inside and out. We rarely have bad Vaynes. So let's talk a little about the gold difference. Purple team is about 3,000 gold up, take or give. And some of that is kills, but a lot of that is farm as well. Shen is about a kill up on Darius. Annie is 300, and she's also up in farm, up over Akali. So we're seeing a huge farm difference, and that's making up more of the gold difference in the kills right now, I believe. Of course, having a fed Vayne and Annie doesn't hurt either.
So I'm just taking a quick peek at top lane, and Darius is just constantly pushing. I don't agree with that choice. Like, if I were him, I'd be trying to freeze closer to my tower, and then bullying Shen anytime he tries to go in. Because if you're pushing Shen into tower, he's not going to miss much CS because he has his Q to farm with, he has his passive, his auto attacks. Like, he has pretty decent CS under tower. And so all you're really doing is wasting mana on pushing rather than on harassing.
Right now, what I'm doing is question what this Darius's end game is. Darius is not a very mobile champ. He doesn't have any blinks or anything beyond summon or spell flash. He's a great duelist, but he doesn't have a lead over Shen. He doesn't have the ability to 1v1 and 1v2 when Trundle comes up, and he's also pushing quite aggressively. So he's putting himself into scenarios where he gets ganked, and he has no way to get out of it.
Yeah, that was always considered the biggest weakness of Darius, is like he shoves lane if he tries to harass, and then he's ganked because he has no escape and he has no mobility, really. So I'm questioning why he's playing the way he is.
Fun fact, the reason that Darius has mixed damage types is we were on the PvE. Draven would just always win against Darius. Like, they did 1v1 lanes, and the bleed on Draven's original kit. Basically, Darius had to have mixed damage in order to survive top lane, or be viable in any meta. We have the gold difference going up to about 5k, so purple team is getting a really healthy lead right now.
Yeah, but every time I look bot, it just boils down to there's a skirmish going on, quick condemn, tumble condemn, and then they pick up a free kill. So as blue team, maybe not that you're going to come back and win the lane, but you really need to be careful of what you're standing next to. You need to always be watching your positioning, move between auto attacks, move between trades and CSing, and figure out where should I be at this point.
I think a lot of people underestimate Vayne's early game. I'm not saying that she's particularly strong in lane, but there's a stereotype that Vayne is essentially a wet paper rag, and you just have to walk up to her and knock her over. But her tumble and her condemn, along with the innate damage on silver bolts, mean that she can trade in lane quite well, especially if she has a carry a support who know what they're doing. So if you try to just walk up to Vayne and shoot her in the face, you're in for a rude surprise.
No, that's amazing, Brian. So apparently there's a bug with Trundle where if you use the pillar just right, it launches people into the air and they instantly die.
That's incredible. My god, like...
I'm sure it's been fixed by now, but...
Hecarim, I don't believe Hecarim can do anything right here. He's 3 levels down on Shen. Looks like he's going for it anyway. Knocks Shen back, but Shen taunted and just walks underneath his tower. Doesn't even blow a summoner. And ultimately, Shen is just so mobile compared to Darius, and Hecarim had so little room to work with as Shen was so close to his tower. Annie taking mid tower. Looks like minions are cleaning up. Darius uses his teleport, which means Shen has free reign up top to get even more farm. He's 2 kills worth of CS up on his opponent. Instead, he stands united, goes in on Darius, tanks the tower, and he cleans up with a disintegrate and auto attack combo. And then purple team retreats, knowing that they got what they needed, and they're not going to stick around and get greedy.
The decision to cycle to Dragon is really, really good. I'm so happy that people are finally sort of taking our advice and actually picking up objectives when they get an advantage like that. So many times in lower elo, what you'll see, they'll get a kill like that, and oh my god, we have to get the mid turret. The blue team's already responding to that. You've used your cooldowns, you're a little bit low health, especially on Shen. Why not just take a free Dragon? And now they're cycling in, and they're going to get in behind bot lane. That's the advantage you want.
So purple team has about a 7k advantage right now, and after this fight on bot, I just want to discuss how that difference got so large.
Barrier comes out from Vayne, probably going to save her. That's the first time I've seen her miss a condemn, and I think it was more just her trying to land a little bit of extra burst. We do see Akali.
Akali gets Vayne, but at what cost? It looks like actually blue team comes in.
Yeah, Hecarim timing there was really good. It was definitely the right decision to come down there. I'm wondering if Annie should have not gone back. They made the play that they were going to go cycle in behind bot lane. If Annie was there, that's guaranteed CC and a huge amount of burst. I think that would have won them that fight very, very quickly, and then Hecarim would have had time to respond.
Annie was dancing around mid, and I'm not sure what her endgame was there. I don't think she has the ability to take a tower at that point. So I agree. If she had gone bot or even gone top or something, I think purple team would have gotten less of a disadvantage right there.
Ooh, we see an invade coming in from Annie. She catches out. Yep, free kill for her. So right after we see something negative about where she's positioning on the map, she shows up in exactly the right place at the right time. I don't know if that was luck or her having a timer on the buff, but good decision and really good play there.
Gotta say, I'm a really big fan of this Annie's ability. A lot of Annies are really like trigger happy with Tibbers and their stun. This Annie is pretty reserved about when to use Tibbers and when to save her stun, and it's working out very well for her.
Yeah, the general rule of thumb on mid Annie is you stun with your Q, because it can't be dodged unless it's like a fizz or something. The alternative is a lot of people will stun with W if they needed like an instant cast stun because it has no cast time whatsoever, I believe. Or at least has no travel time. Actually using Tibbers for the stun is usually only done in team fights.
So purple has about a 7k advantage. Let's talk about how that advantage got so vast between the two teams. Yes, there's 9 kills apart, but we're also seeing that purple team has better farm, I think, generally across the board. And
yeah, every single lane has a huge CS advantage.
A lot of people would rather trade than get CS. Seeing your opponent get low, they think is sort of, I'll get him low, so he needs to leave lane, and that means I can get all the CS and his tower. But at early game, people can return to their tower so much, and last lane under tower, and the extremely regen heavy meta we're in means that trading is not as important as farming right now.
Okay, I want to point out the fight that happened at around 17:20 in this game. Bot lane, they went really aggressive onto Nami and onto Vayne. Nami has her ult up, and she has exhaust up. She uses them after Vayne has died. I don't know what happened there, but she had exhaust up. Just immediately using exhaust on Varus would have allowed Vayne to avoid most of that burst, and then she could have followed up with a quick ult to disengage. That's a really questionable choice. So far, though, Nami has been doing well, so just... That was definitely misplay, though.
Yeah, a lot of Namis will sort of panic and use their abilities to disengage when they're probably dead anyway. Sometimes saving a cooldown is the wiser choice and just accepting that your death is inevitable.
Well, no, he needed to use it immediately so that he could have saved Vayne.
Right, I'm saying that after he made that mistake, he shouldn't have blown both cooldowns.
Mm-hmm. Alright, so we see them back onto this turret here. I'm wondering if the exact same combo is going to come out from Leona. Nope. They just back out that time. Trendle's CS right now, he's only at 47 CS in a 20-minute game as a jungler. And as we mentioned earlier, his ganks aren't having that much influence. I want to know why he's not just farming.
He does have 4 assists. It's just I wish. Oh, amazing tumble just out of the range of a max range Zenith Blade. I'm just wondering why Trundle didn't choose to play a champion with ganks. I know Vi was banned, but I think Sejuani, a Jax, maybe not a Jax, but someone who could actually get ganks. And
Amumu, Pantheon, Wukong, Elise, Lee Sin, all of those were left up. And then if you wanted something else, you still have like the AoE magic damage junglers like Nautilus, Sejuani, the people who actually have gank potential.
I'm still not used to Wukong being like Wukong and Pantheon being top tier junglers. Like what?
Yeah, it's because they can snowball easily, and they set up really easy aggressive plays. Because you literally just like push a button and it's a, okay, this is the target we're killing button. We see the teleport come in from Darius, immediate ult onto Nami. This is going to be a very free double kill. That was a perfect use of teleport. I really, really like that.
Varus missed his ultimate, but that was a beautiful aura coming out from Leona. Got both of bot lane, caught right in the center for the full stun, and that let Darius teleport in completely unimpeded and just basically stand in queue right on top of them. So excellent job to both Darius and Leona on that double kill.
We see a lot of times where people will run a teleport on a top laner, and then they just don't use it very effectively. And that was a very, very effective use. Nice flash coming out from Annie, able to dodge out of the Hecarim ult. A lot of people don't realize that you can do that, and it's not actually that difficult a thing. We see a flash pull coming in from Darius, not quite connecting. Leona does engage, and they're able to combo in onto the Trundle. I'm worried, though, that they might have wasted too many cooldowns there, because at this point, Shen is here, Annie's here. There's just sort of turning around this fight. In the long run, though, they are able to take out Annie. I think Varus is going to be able to get away. Yeah, Leona's here now.
During the champion select, we talked about blue team's team comp and how they had both initiating power and sticking power during team fights. We're seeing this now, but purple team just has such a good lead. If blue team was even in gold, they would have won that team fight, period. But the gold disadvantage means that they weren't able to have enough damage, they weren't able to burst any down in time, and so on.
Well, no, my complaint there is they used all of their cooldowns on Trundle, and then they decided to team fight. So if they had kept their ults up, they would have, not necessarily even ults, but if they had their cooldowns ready, they could have immediately killed most of the carries that came in to try and fight them. Trundle going in, not quite the perfect use of pillar there. So unfortunately not able to pick up the Varus. Just a little bit better pillar positioning there would have secured him that kill. Another dragon going over to them. They're building up a really nice gold advantage here, and I want to see them pushing that into essentially just making picks for themselves. They have some nice warding coming out. I'd like to see maybe a couple more pink wards. Right now I only see the one on the map, unless I'm blind. I'd suggest maybe each trying to pick up a pink ward on like your mid laner support and on jungler. Having 3 pink wards down is a huge amount of map vision, and anytime they try and clear it, they can just use their advantage, especially with the Annie initiate, to just set up really easy fights for themselves, and then they can use the numbers advantage from that to take towers.
Right. We're also saying purple team has a lot of champions that only get stronger in the late game, most notably Bane, but they also have a Shen and an Annie. Annie doesn't fall off particularly hard. Blue team has Akali and Varus, who are mid-game monsters, but don't particularly, do quite well at 50-minute brawls. So
yeah, they really need to have snowballed before this.
in blue team's shoes, they need to either move as a team and do some overwhelming force and overcome blue with and make that happen through proper vision, or they need to do something beyond reacting to blue team's play or purple team's plays, essentially.
See the Varus ult come out. Unfortunately, Leona did miss her E, but great re-engage on here. I'm expecting, yeah, they're definitely going to get this now that Leona landed her E.
Good bubble by Nami. She gets Shen out to safety. By all rights, Shen should have died. She even moves to block Varus' arrow. So that was just excellent gameplay by Nami. Amazing instance of how Peel saves lives.
Wait, who got timed out? Oh. Yeah, I fully expected that Shen to die. Varus did a pretty good job of orb walking, keeping up with his opponent, but the Nami disengage was just beautiful. It was very, very well landed.
A lot of people, when Nami first came out, they didn't like her kit, but she's really proven to be sort of a good mix between sustain and disengaged monsters like Soraka and Janna, and she's carved out quite a little niche for herself. Still underappreciated, but not bad by any means.
I kind of made Nami before they nerfed her, and oh my god, the bubbles pre-nerf were so potent. They used to last even longer.
Mother of God.
I think it was like 1.5 or 1.75 seconds or something like that of the knockup. We see 3 collapsing in top here. This Vayne is so fed, landing yet another good condemn. Annie lands a stun, and that's going to be a dead oh, nope. Pony has the move speed.
Pony escapes to live another day. No shotgun behind the barn for this pony yet. Just a side note, I do like the teleport pick on Shen.
Oh.
With his ult, it means he's all over the map all the time, and that's quite effective.
Okay, so I really dislike that Leona engage there. She just tried to 1v4. I'm not sure quite... Oh, Pop not quite going to take her down. I get that she's trying to delay the push onto the tower, but if she had saved that cooldown for when Varus and Akali showed up, I think they could have got some kills there. Like, if you look at their team, Vayne's really low, Nami's pretty low. She just needed that CC in play during the actual fight.
And we're seeing the gold advantage just spiral out of control with the 5k advantage turning to nearly 8k, which is really adding up. And we're seeing Purple Team, even when they don't make the best decisions, are able to just muscle ahead by sheer stats right now. What's your opinion on Deathcap as a pick right now? Is it just flat inferior to Void stuff?
If you look at the enemy team, the only people with magic resist are Hecarim and Akali. And, of course, Leona is going to have a decent amount. So if you're literally just there to be an AD carry killing monster, and that seems to be what she's gearing up for with the DFG, it's an okay buy. I still would have liked to see Void Staff first, though. Because, like, your AoE damage, your AoE utility on Annie is so potent mid-game, where you, like, flash ult, land a 4-person stun. That's a 1 game right there. Ooh, Varus ult does connect, Leona follows it through, and that's a dead Annie. This is going to be most likely a tower, because Vayne's going to take a little while to get here.
Vayne coming in, Hecarim ults out. Vayne and Nami and Trundle are just sort of dancing around. Akali and Leona engage onto Vayne. Vayne's tumbling and flashing out, but Akali uses her triple dash ultimate. Trundle's chasing down Akali. She flashes over the wall in an excellent escape. Nami's trying to hold down the tower to the best of her ability, but Shen comes around and gives her a hand, actually. Tidal wave goes out. Shen is just surviving in the middle of 4 enemies, which is quite impressive.
I'm still confused. This Nami never seems to use her exhaust. Teleport coming in from Darius.
Not a huge fan of how Purple kept running into the meat grinder one by one. Shen was in the middle of 4 of them, and he survived, and that's great, but if he had waited for his team and sort of moved around the tower instead of chasing outwards, I think that would have had a bigger effect.
And here we're seeing the sort of combined CC and lockdown that blue team can provide when they land a team fight that they actually want. Again, we're seeing Vayne walks in, and she's going to get CC'd. She's probably not going to die here. Hell, she could even pick up an easy kill. But, okay.
The gold gap is just shrinking rapidly down to a mere 4k after being at 8k. Just from blue team, their team comp is just so excellent at lockdown, and purple team decided to run 1 by 1 into the meat grinder. So blue team actually has a chance at turning this around if they continue to play consistently and take advantage of their team comp strengths.
Vayne does get a quadra kill there, but that, again, her going in there should not have worked. Purple team should have been able to either immediately turn and fight her, or to just disengage. She should not have been getting kills out of that, and that's just, again, the same thing where it's just like walking in, and sooner or later someone's going to catch you and you're going to die.
Right, with seeing Vayne just standing right next to an Akali cloud, cool as you please. You know, if Akali jumped out onto her face, that could turn very unpleasant for her very quickly.
I keep mentioning the exhaust here. I like it as a pick, but you actually have to use it. When someone's diving on Vayne, preferably Akali, throw the exhaust down. It's not that long of a cooldown. It is 200 seconds, 210. So, like, yeah, it's a few minutes. But are you really doing a full team fight more than every few minutes? And keeping Vayne alive is what they need to do right now. She has 11 kills.
Speaking of summoner spells and other meta picks, the trinket selection is killing me a little. We're seeing 9 trinket wards and only 1 scanner on Nami. The sweeper is so good right now, and nobody's buying pinks. It's making me very sad right now. I would like to see a sweeper on a blue team.
Agreed, yeah. Usually jungler, once they get their first item or two, they swap over to sweeper. Support, as soon as you get your sightstone, you need a sweeper. Oftentimes mid laners will also go sweeper because they need to be able to know that they're not being detected. Because if you're trying to do a bush bait or something like that as Annie, and you're standing on a ward, it's not going to work. So yeah, we usually see a lot of mid laners, especially assassin-y style mid laners, will often run mid-game sweepers.
The trinket is great. Get a yellow trinket that works in 90% of situations, but to have no sweepers and furthermore no pinks, ooh, a sight ward's 75 gold, and it lasts longer. So, come on.
I don't like Trundle's decision to kind of walk into 5 people. No one punished him on it. I think they learned their lesson of blowing too many cooldowns on such a beefy target, but he could have got caught out so easily.
Trundle is just such an intimidating target. He just takes so little damage, and even though he's blowing cooldowns on him isn't smart. I understand why teams will do it in a panic. They just see this big troll on their face and flip out.
Purple team was really, really split there. They're in a decent position now, but Shen is not there.
Leona goes in, Zenith Blade onto Vayne. She drops her ult immediately onto Vayne afterwards, but it's not enough. Her team doesn't follow her in and instead wrangle with the back line. Vayne just starts mopping up with the assistance of her team. The front line far too tanky, and Vayne is just an unchecked monster at this point, tearing through blue team like tissue paper.
Oh, that was so sloppy. So I'm going to actually rewind that. I want to watch it in slow-mo because this was sloppy. This should not have happened. So originally, they are completely split out. Vayne's by herself, Trundle's by himself, Annie's by herself, and then like Nami and Shen are just doing whatever. Trundle lands a pillar, great, whatever. At this point, Leona's just standing on this ward, and they keep being like, oh, we'll just like make a pick onto Leona. You can't just one-shot Leona, because you're going to have no cooldowns left for the actual team fight. So they're just like dancing around Leona. They're splitting up yet again, where they're not in position. Vayne tries to go in on Leona, immediately gets chain CC'd. Shen's nowhere near the fight, so he just uses his ult where it's like, whatever, I'll give them a shield. And then they just walk right through the Nami ult, they get caught out by Shen, and no one is on Vayne. You have an Akali. Why is Akali not in the middle of this team fight killing Vayne when she was originally locked down for like 3 or 4 seconds? I do not like that.
Right, I feel for that Leona. I've been the support who's desperately clinging on to Vayne, and my team is like, let's fight Polar Bear. So I definitely feel her pain. That was, despite the clumsiness of that engage, she made the right choice by locking down their ADC for a good like 5 or 7 seconds. But unfortunately, there was just no follow-up.
Yeah, I just... The Kali pick we had worries about because it needed to snowball. It hasn't snowballed, but it still has the damage to kill a Vayne. She was CC'd for a very long time. Shen was not in the fight. So you're essentially doing a 4v5, and the only like real damage threat on the enemy team is CC'd. So,
Baron Pit. We're seeing a fight in Baron Pit.
Oh, well, I'm still fast forwarding.
Guess what?
What?
This is so exciting.
Okay, well, there is a Baron fight coming up here. Blue team tries to start the Barons. They take a little bit of damage. Trundle gets onto Varus, and Hecarim's farming the jungle.
Sorry, that's laughter is not appropriate feedback. No. Hecarim should have come out. Varus used his ult as disengage. Hecarim is just sort of... Hecarim doesn't exactly seem to know what he should be doing in fights. Like, he picked a tanky jungler, and he got some good engages off in landing phase. It just doesn't seem like he knows what to do in a team fight, what targets to engage with, who to peel. He's just sort of there.
Yeah, so Hecarim's there just farming. Then they land the kill. They start a team fight. And Varus isn't there. Like, Varus is just going back to base. And it's like, are they just having communication issues? Or where are things breaking down here? You need to be on the same page as your team. If you want to continue fighting, that's fine. That might have been a viable option if they could somehow CC Vayne. But if you're going to retreat, you need to be on the same page as your team, or you're just, like, Hecarim's going to die. Oh, the Magi's pick on Nami? No, it's bad. Don't pick Magi's Nami.
The only time you should pick Magi's is when you also get, what's it called, the Sword of the Occult. And then you go into all chat, I want to dedicate this game to my girl Wendy and her delicious double stack burger.
Okay.
And then every time you get a kill, you make a pun about stacks. And that is a legitimate gameplay tactic brought to you by some streamer. I don't remember who.
I'm pretty sure that's a salty Teemo build. So Akali really does try and get onto Vayne this time. Then she gets caught out by the quick taunt there. Hecarim is coming through. Hecarim ults, but hits the front line, not the back line. If Hecarim was able to get in there and stun the Vayne, they would have been able to clean that up a lot easier. She is going to clean up, though. She does eventually get onto the Vayne, gets the kill onto Annie, and at this point you have a crazy damage threat up, and you're able to just clean up the fight. They just need to cycle through mid and try and push in this tower, as Shen is not that great at holding towers 1v2.
Right, especially when you have an ADC up. ADC's role in the game right now is to siege. Whenever I see ADCs who are like, I'm going to carry my team to victory, I get extremely sad. Your role as an ADC is to take towers, and Varus needs to be doing that right now, which he is, so good job.
Yeah, they have 15 seconds on Nami, 20 seconds on Annie, so they should be able to get the inhib, but they need to run right after the inhibitor. And
after the inhib, they could probably swing bot, actually. And
the problem is if they go bot, then they lose Baron.
Oh, yeah, that's completely true. Alright.
Like, they could, and I think they... I think the tower bot is going to die on its own.
So blue team just made some good plays there. They still have a massive disadvantage in terms of gold, but in terms of a Baron fight, that went quite well for them.
It definitely went well. My main concern there is Hecarim ult hit Shen, and I think the only other target it hit was Trundle. So you're not landing your CC onto the carries. If he had like flash ulted, he would have. They were all really tightly grouped. His ult just doesn't go that far.
Hecarim's CC wasn't necessarily like his ult wasn't for the CC in that fight. It was essentially a distraction while, please focus the big scary horse while Akali cleans up. I'm not saying that's the ideal use of his ult or that he shouldn't have landed the CC. I'm just saying in that context it seemed to work okay. He just needed to get Akali a little bit of peel.
Yeah, that being said though, if he had flash up, I know it was up after the fight, it might have still been on a slight cooldown. If he literally walked like 2 steps forward and then ulted, he would have had all of the carries CC'd and damaged as well, and it would have done the exact same job. But regardless, it did work out. Again, it boils down to Akali being able to make it to Vayne and kill her. And if the only hope of that really is a Leona chain CC, or Hecarim landing an ult. Hecarim ult is actually pretty decent, because you can sort of interrupt someone and push them towards your team a little bit.
Also, a quick note about Magi's, since I'm seeing a little bit of chatter about it in Twitch chat. Magi's is only gold effective if you are consistently above 8 stacks. If you are below 8 stacks, it is not a gold effective item. And even then, that was true back in like Season 2, when no one cared about M-Pen. So yeah, don't get Magi's.
Yep.
Ever.
The only champion that it was sort of half decent on was Lux when she was popular, and that was because Lux is just so stupidly safe.
Do you want to hear my super secret Season 2 Straka build?
Was it like 1,000,000 stack items?
I rushed Magi's.
Yeah, and then ult.
And then I would ult, and I would run around with 20 stacks, laughing hysterically.
That is a legit build. So here, we're not seeing anyone use the sweepers. They did buy the sweepers. Good ult that time from Hecarim. Akali a little bit far out along with Varus. Shen teleport goes down onto Vayne. They need to peel off of Vayne. Like, they're not going to be able to pick that up. Varus was ignored that entire fight and was able to clean up a lot. But in the long run, they just don't have the right targets being killed.
I'm a little... I don't know if ghosting on the stream is strictly prohibited. I'm not sure what the policy on that is. But I'm a little suspicious that we went from 1 sweeper to 4 sweepers. Are you people ghosting? And a blue trinket? People, I suspect we have some ghosting.
They probably are. We see that from time to time. It's not that big a deal because there is a 3-minute delay, but usually it's just kind of distracting. So yeah.
Yeah, no, it's not like they're cheating or anything. I I sincerely doubt everyone's like, we need sweeper independently of each other.
And unfortunately, they were standing on a ward and didn't sweep it.
You silly Billies, you use the sweeper to sweep.
I thought you use it to molest people.
No,
Oh.
no. So we do see some upgraded sweepers. We haven't seen a lot of upgraded trinkets being used in games. For instance, the folk with yellow trinkets, you can turn that into a free pink. So you can get the advantages of a sweeper with the advantages of a trinket at the same time. We're also seeing a blue trinket on Annie, and I actually kind of like that. Blue trinket is, numerically unbalanced, but there's so many deaths to face check in this game. I do like the idea of a blue sweeper being in play.
Yeah, it's a fine item, especially when they're doing that Baron dance. Annie really wants to be able to maintain vision on it, and if they clear out a ward here and they're not able to get vision on it and you know they're doing it, well, drop the blue trinket in and then you can use your flash tibbers.
Range is 2,500. What is that? Like,
It's like... Nidalee Spear's like 1,100 or 1,200. It's just like 2 Nidalee Spears.
okay, so that's pretty substantial.
Oh yeah.
Oh, we're doing the Baron Pit dance. Are you excited for the Baron Pit dance?
I am
I'm
so excited for the Baron Pit dance.
I love the Baron Pit dance.
I don't know why blue team's doing Baron Pit dance when there's an open inhib.
Because Baron wins games, apparently. That
Okay.
is the belief that a lot of teams have, and they will sacrifice themselves at a chance of getting Baron buff, which I'm not a huge fan of, but I'm really not a huge fan of this. Blue team's dancing around. Purple team, if purple team drops in stun tibbers in the right place, it's just not going to go well for them. Like what blue team is hoping to gain Baron, but they know that purple knows that they're there. So
I just want to point out the positioning. They're literally all over this.
I think they're arguing. I think half the team wants to do Baron, half the team is like, no, this is terrible, get out of there, and both sides are just kind of literally splitting.
Leona's going to get caught out here. Hecarim's trying to come back in through, and Leona's dead. So your front line is dead before any of the rest of your team is there. Darius is dead before the rest of the team gets there. And then you just have Akali sort of going, oh shit, I don't like this fight anymore, I need to run.
What kills me about Leona going in is she dropped a pink ward.
Mm-hmm. They're there, they're going to see it.
That sacrifice was not worth it. Even if they would... Sometimes you just gotta let them take Baron, sometimes you just gotta let them take Dragon. Fighting over it is not always the best call, especially when you're substantially 10k gold behind.
If I were them, I would have tried to drop a quick ward in the enemy jungle and rush mid. If you see them taking Baron, okay, well, we're going to take your open inhib. Like, maybe not send your whole team to do that, but I think they could have taken that inhib very, very quickly. And you're saying, well, we know you're getting Baron. We can't really stop it. We can't afford to throw away our lives in hopes of maybe stealing it or maybe stalling it. So why not take an objective elsewhere?
Like, Baron gives you flat AP, flat AD, and regen. You can wait it out. They were looking at changing Baron on the PvE to give increased movement speed when out of base and increased damage against towers. At which point it will become a lot more of a game changer. Right now, Baron is kind of it's not the be-all end-all that a lot of teams wish it was. Purple team just pushing their advantage up to 13k gold, grab a dragon on top of that. And again, we're seeing blue team split. Hecarim's farming wolves. Akali's farming mid. Leona's going to war. Darius is top. Ooh, I would like to see them together at this point in the game.
There, I had to eat my maple sugar cupcake.
Oh my god, a maple syrup cupcake. That sounds incredible.
Brian, after making fun of me for buying a cupcake maker, decided to make cupcakes last night using it.
So what you're saying is you won the argument and like Cupcake Maker reigns supreme?
Yes, I win every argument, and I always reign supreme.
Okay, that sounds completely correct and not at all revisionist.
No, it's not.
Purple team just shoving up mid, Nami throwing bubbles. They're doing the dance. Blue team could engage 3v5 right now, but they don't take the opportunity, and by now, purple team has reunited by 5.
Trundle was in behind. I would have liked to see him engage from behind the team because they could have immediately got onto one of the carries. Instead, he sort of went to the side, used his pillar, and then walked away. Again, Leona's landing the stuns onto the right people generally, but just not able to really do anything with it.
Right, and she did get a little bit caught out there, but at this point in the game, I'm not sure what she could have done differently. She needs to be in the front line. Her team was sort of pressing out. I'm not super impressed with Blue's decision to be outside of their turret in the first place. So Leona took the best of a series of bad options there, and it looks like this game is wrapping up. MVPs for this game is actually quite hard to choose. Purple team was a pretty united front. I mean, Vayne did clean up, and it's tempting to call Vayne MVP, but her team peeled for her. She had a good support bottom, so I can't name a Purple team MVP. That was a solid team effort across the board.
Like, I can't tell, because I can't join the match.
As for Blue team, I'm going to have to go with Leona. She was trying her best against a bad situation, made the right calls under pressure. She didn't play perfectly, but for MVP for Blue team, I'm going to have to give that to Leona.
Okay, if you want to go over item builds a little bit, Brian is inviting the last people for the next match, and they're going to go ahead and start up the game. I will then be able to spectate off of them, because unfortunately there is a bug in the client right now where I cannot join as a spectator. It lists the room as full and no one else can then join. So I will have you go over the item builds there. I want to point out that the giveaway is open right now. It is your final chance to enter. This is for a $10 RP card on North American server. You must be following the stream in order to win, and then you just type workshop in chat in order to enter.
Okay, item builds. Starting with Blue team, Hecarim has pretty standard stuff, pretty tanky. With him, he might have considered going with different boots, but tank boots are a fine choice. I've seen some Hecarim go with swiftness for keeping on the carry, otherwise quite fine. Darius built full tank, looks like he was moving towards a Trinity Force with the Sheen or an Iceborne Gauntlet. I expected him to be more of a bruiser than a tank, but those choices are all fine otherwise. Oh, gosh dang it, my client just froze. I have to restart it, and now I don't have item built.
Okay, sorry, which champion were you on?
I did Hecarim and Darius for Blue team.
Okay. Leona's build is pretty standard in terms of you just want to stack a whole bunch of defensive items. I am not a huge fan of Face of the Mountain, though. I know they've retweaked it and tried to make it a little bit better. I would have preferred to see a Talisman of Ascension, though, so that they'd have that mobility to either disengage from fights that they don't want, because there was a lot of those, to get into position, because they always were ending up split as Purple team, or to just chase down fights when you are actually winning them. So I think that would have been a little bit better of an option. Yeah, Trundle, his build is fine. No real complaints there. I like the Sightstone pickup. A lot of junglers don't do that anymore, but it adds some tanky stats, and it allows you to just essentially blanket the map with wards. Vayne's build, very standard late game hyper carry Vayne build. She's just so far ahead, though. She does have 23 kills. So it's a little bit difficult to compare it against, enemy 80 carry build, just because you do have that crazy gold advantage at that point. Shen's build, I might have suggested finishing up the Banshee's Veil before the Warmogs. Warmogs is kind of mediocre at the moment, but it does synergize with the rest of your health stack that you do have. So overall, his build is fine. I just might have suggested moving the Banshee's Veil up a little bit so that you can deal with things like the Leona stuns, the Hecarim ults, the Varus ults that were sometimes winning fights. Nami, we mentioned, don't get Soul Stealer. It's not good. I would have liked to see a Crucible. Throwing Crucible on Vayne when Leona's CCing her, that would be really, really potent. I love Crucible on Nami, personally. Annie, her build is okay. We mentioned earlier I would like to see a Void Staff before the Death Cap, but either is a viable option. So that's perfectly fine.